Hello, hello.
Welcome to Content Creators Connect. Here we are all about encouraging the three C's: connecting with others via video, content development that builds your personal brand, and creators sharing their experiences despite their distance.
And for those of you that are joining us for the first time, why don't we get to know the C3 team? My name is Kevin, also known as Classic Mac to my online community, and I love to find low cost live stream options, whether it be actual tech or software. So I do love to make a deal and save some money. Next to me, who's going to be presenting today, I'm so excited, is Miss Dory, also known as DSpence. She uses her superpowers to install confidence in those around her and helping others become experts in their own adventures. And then we have Mr. Metz over there, Coach Manny, coaching us up in the world of social media marketing, as well as pursuing his passion of streaming true crime. So, Dory, as we have learned from the title of today's stream, we're talking about thumbnails. Why do you think that thumbnails are such an important part of a video?
Well, Kevin, I am so thankful you asked. Thumbnails, in my opinion, they're very much like your storefront. I thoroughly believe that if you were to think about any major department store out there, think about the amount of time that they spend specifically on their window displays, right? Why do they do that? Well, it's to entice people to come in to the store because you could have the best kept secret. You could have the best products, the best sales staff. But if no one ever comes into your store, then none of those things even matter. So I believe that your thumbnail is specifically what generates the clicks on your videos. The more clicks, the more YouTube is going to suggest your video to others. What do you think, Manny? Why do you think thumbnails are very important?
So excited that you're even doing this topic because just like your thumbnail says, you want it to pop. And when it comes to really getting your videos in front of more people and getting them to click, that very first part is the thumbnail. Now, if you already have a million viewers, you probably don't even need a thumbnail. You already have yourself established with your audience, and then everyone getting engaged just leads it to more people, right? But sometimes you don't have that luxury, or most of the time, you don't have the luxury of having a million subscribers. So you have to strategically get more viewers, right? The thumbnail is where it begins right there. YouTube will show your video to people. They will, guaranteed. People, the impressions will be there. The thumbnail will help the click. Remember that. That's why I think this is so key because, especially when you're getting started and you'll want them to have a reason to click, that thumbnail is where it begins. I'm so happy you're doing this. This is a very important subject. Kevin, what do you think?
Well, I know personally I do have some struggles with creating thumbnails because I want to put too much into that thumbnail, and that's not a good thing. You want to be, like you said, you want to tease them into clicking onto the video to find out more information. So I am super excited about the key things that you need to put into a thumbnail to try and attract your potential viewers to click on and watch your video. So yeah, if this is some of the type of content that you want to see and enjoy seeing, why don't you please consider hitting that subscribe button, and also that notification bell to know when we are going to be putting up new content. So why don't we head on into that content and just see what nuggets of wisdom that Dory has for us.
Well, as promised, we are going to go from start to finish designing a thumbnail together using, wait for it, free online tools. I know that that makes everybody super excited. Before we dive in, we will be using canva.com and we will also be using Adobe Express in conjunction with each other to create a thumbnail specifically for next week's episode of C3. Before we do that, though, I do want to cover some very important concepts related to actual thumbnail creation. So, with that being said, let's take a look at some of these very, what may seem like common sense ideas, but are often overlooked when people are crafting their thumbnails. And the first is you want to make sure that your thumbnail is easily viewable on mobile devices. Most video content is being consumed via mobile these days, and unfortunately, we probably sit at a computer while we're designing our thumbnails, so we see it large and in charge on our screens. And what we fail to think about is when that is condensed down to a mobile size, is it still going to give that extra pop like we want? So that's number one. Number two, try to limit the elements on your thumbnail to 3 or 4. And Kevin touched on this in terms of the amount of text. I was shocked to learn this. A viewer takes literally only 1 second to decide to click or not to click. That thumbnail has to draw them in with something that pops. Very limited things for them to view within a matter of a second. That's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me. And the third, be sure your font is large and you are using contrasting colors. So this again is where you want to create those elements that literally pop off the screen. Think about trying to take a two-dimensional object like a flat image and create something on there that looks three-dimensional, that it's coming off the page at you. Number 4, do not use too much text. We have to use the KISS method here and keep it simple. Number 5, this is a biggie and tends to be controversial, I know. Use a character's face. Spoiler alert, you are a character. And I don't mean your personality, Kevin. I mean your
Oh.
character. There is research that shows if you have a character's image, your face, the face of someone else, you are more likely going to get clicks on your thumbnails versus just putting objects or text or color. Number 6, avoid putting important elements near the edges or specifically in the bottom right corner. The bottom right corner is where the timestamp and length of the video will appear. So you don't want that to cover any very important information. And lastly, get opinions from other people. I know when I create thumbnails, I am all about creating multiple versions, which I'm going to show you that you can do in Canva readily, very easily. And then I share them out with people to get their opinions. So hopefully this very short checklist will be helpful to you in reminding you how to craft your thumbnails. But now, the reason we're all here, let's take a look at crafting a thumbnail. So this brings me to canva.com. And this is the home screen. Now, I don't know, guys, should we show the final and then build it like they do on the cooking shows, or do we hold everybody in suspense? What you
I
Like
say
the
think?
we
idea of
show
building it.
Okay.
it.
Uh-oh, we're split. Split
We're
decision.
split.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll go through the basics and then we might flash to the final result. So, in Canva, what you're going to want to do is you can actually see there's some short form up here across the top. If you don't have the example to create a YouTube thumbnail here, then it's very easy to go to the social media page or go to templates on the left-hand side. There are a multitude of ways that will get you to the area that you need to for creating a thumbnail. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And the nice thing is Canva has an amazing amount of pre-made templates that you can literally start with and then just swap out pictures, change out your text, so on and so forth. We build our thumbnails from scratch here at C3 because we love the idea of doing certain types of branding for our thumbnails. Now, I do want to just give this as a little bit of a disclaimer. I have a pro account in Canva as an educator, but the tools we're going to focus on tonight, you can do everything in here with a free account, which is why we're also going to be using Adobe Express to kind of supplement. So the first thing you want to do is you want to start with a background. Now for us, we have a branded background. We use it on all of our thumbnails. It just shows some uniformity. Here's some ideas for best practice. Let's say, for example, you have different playlists on your channel. You could potentially have a different background to show a very visual indication where a certain thumbnail falls in a playlist. Okay. How did I do that? Well, I hit upload and I've already uploaded this image from my computer. You can use PNG, JPEG, it doesn't matter. And then once it's in your uploads area, you simply just click and drag onto your canvas. So that's where we're going to start. And I'm actually going to go ahead and lock that so that that piece doesn't move. The next thing you want to consider is your character. So we are going to be using Manny's portrait as the character in this thumbnail. Now this is where we have to jump over to Adobe Express. Okay. I also want to say this to y'all. You want to start with an idea for your thumbnail in your head. And how can you get ideas if you're just starting out? Well, I will tell you that YouTube is a great resource. If you search for other videos that have been already published on the topic you plan to discuss, take a look at what some of them have done for their thumbnails to spark some ideas in your own mind. So what we typically do here at C3 is we have a conversation together and throw out some thumbnail ideas. We craft them and then we do number 7 on the list, which is get each other's opinions. So I have an idea. We talked about it ahead of time. So now all we have to do is just make that idea come to life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to Adobe Express. And if you go, the website is express.adobe.com. You can create a free account. And with that free account, you will be able to do remove background, which is exactly what we are going to use Adobe for. So down here on the home page, after you create your account and sign in, you're going to see an option called remove background. Go ahead and click on that. And then it's going to ask you to grab your image. Now, I need to make sure that I have this image in my downloads, which I actually have to grab from Discord because Manny shared it and I dropped the ball, everybody, in putting it on my computer. My apologies. It won't
live
take
TV,
it won't take
live streaming. Don't you love it?
but a moment to save it. There it is. We'll grab it and right click and save image as. So as you can see, it's a full image that Manny took. I'm going to go ahead and save that to my downloads. And then I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. And so now I can browse my downloads for that image. Once you load it, you're going to see that the system automatically works to remove the background. Now, one thing I want you to notice, I just want to show you guys this really quick. Here's Manny's original image. Okay. And there is the remove background option. Gentlemen, do you notice anything?
He's
They
missing
got
a
rid of
hand.
everything?
It
Oh,
got rid of something that was in the
my whole
original
hand.
image. It got rid of your hand. And the reason is it blended in with the color, so it's assuming that that's part of the background. So what you can do in that case is you can either customize it, which I believe customizing requires certain aspects of Adobe Express will require you to pay for it. Okay. So in this case, it's going to put it on a canvas and then you can do all of your other edits. If you wanted to actually tweak your remove background feature, you would have to pay for the premium version. But in our case, we want to just go ahead and use what the system is giving us for free. And I'm going to go ahead and hit that download button, which is going to put Manny's new picture as a transparent background on my computer. So now I'm going to be able to go back to Canva. And I'm going to hit upload file. And I'm uploading Manny's file right here. And now I'm going to drag it out onto the screen. Oops, I locked the page too early. So one of the things that you're going to see is when it comes onto the screen, you're going to see an awful lot of white space over here. One of the first things that I do is use the crop feature to get that in nice and tight to the original image and go ahead and click done. Now, in this case, Manny's going to be positioned on the right side because that's the way he's looking. And one of the rules that we talked about was find ways for things to pop off the page. So there's a couple ways we can do that. And one of the first ways is creating a halo effect, an outline around your character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit image. And I'm actually going to scroll down and choose glow. Now, in this case, once you click on it, you're going to hit that adjust those sliders that show up and you're going to get your menu pop up. I'm going to choose Manny's color, which I have saved in Canva already. And then I'm going to increase the size of the glow to about 10. I'm going to change the transparency to 100 so that it really pops off. And then I'm going to reduce the blur down to about a 4 so that it's a little bit more solid. I actually might make that size a little bit bigger, maybe go up to like 15. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I want to make sure that the bottom part of that outline is actually off the page so that Manny looks like he's kind of popping off from the edges of the page. So I think that looks pretty good. The sizing looks pretty decent. It's filling the height of the thumbnail, which, by the way, dimensions for a thumbnail are 1280 by 720 if you are using a tool where you have to build from scratch. So now that brings us to the element of the text. Manny's thumbnail is going to be about keyword searches. So what I want to do is I want to find ways to give good information about what my topic is in the least amount of elements possible. So in this case, what I want to do is I've already preloaded this. One of the tools that Manny's going to be talking about is vidIQ. So I'm going to go ahead and resize that so it kind of fills this gap right here. And I don't know how well that's showing up on the screen, but if you guys can see, when I move that, there is a guide that shows up. That is showing you a good space to keep some of your most important elements in view on your thumbnail. So I'm going to keep that right there. And I may end up resizing that once I add everything else, but we're going to add that on there. And then I'm going to go up to elements. And I think I have an idea in mind, so I think I'm going to add a rectangle. And just kind of put this rectangle there. I'm going to center it, and I'm going to make sure that it hugs the top. Now, I don't want that to be blue because I don't want blue to take over the thumbnail, so I'm going to go ahead and use black. Black is always a nice color to use, so I'm going to make sure that's centered. What that black is going to do is it's going to give you the illusion of a three-dimensional object right here with this text. So I'm going to go ahead and now add another element, and this time I'm going to create a rectangle. I'm going to use red. Red is another color that we use often on our thumbnails. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's centered. And then I'm going to just simply hit Control C to copy and Control V to paste. And I'm going to create an element that looks something like that. So it's already giving a multi-dimensional look. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my text. I'm going to add a heading. And we use a very specific font. Here at C3, we use the Acme font, which I was able to go ahead and load into Canva ahead of time. And I'm going to use all caps, and we are going to type keyword. And let's make that 80 is typically the minimum font size that I use for a thumbnail. Now that's exceeding the size. So what we can do is just go ahead and kind of play with the rest of these elements. The guide also shows you exactly how large you're making that. So I want mine to be a perfect square. So I'm going to go 380 by 380. Well, let's go 390 by 390. There we go. We're close. Okay. And then I'm going to put this kind of back down here, center it above there, make my red square a little bit bigger. And then just make sure my word's going to fit on there, which it does. And a lot of times what you're going to notice is a lot of this is trial and error. So rather than trying to resize this, I'm literally just going to delete it. And I'm going to use the old copy and paste method. We work smarter and not harder around here. So we have keyword, and then we have duplicate that. So now we have a basic object. I'm going to go ahead and slide this part up a little bit. And if you want to get really crazy, you can actually, I love this feature of Canva. You can actually group items together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select these items just by doing a click and drag. And I'm going to right click and group them together. And the reason I do that is because now when I put my black square back, I can actually make sure that that square is perfectly centered behind that object. So I've got keyword search, I've got vidIQ, which I think we need to pizzazz that up a little bit. So let me go ahead and hit edit. I think we need a drop shadow on there. Let's see, let's do a drop shadow. And we'll make it bottom. Let's do let's do a severe offset of 4. We'll make it black, which it is. We'll make it stand out that way. And actually, let's like really emphasize that. vidIQ is an amazing tool. We want to heavily emphasize that. So, and then we'll make that 100. Blur, we're going to take down 2, 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit apply so it takes my changes. So what I've done is I've created a character and made him pop off the page. I've created a very short and succinct text area. I've put another visual cue on here so people understand what tool we might be using. And then there's one other teeny tiny thing I'm going to do here. And we're going to say, we're going to add this, which is a pre-made text that's available in the system. But the cool thing is I can then change it and I can actually make it our standard font, reduce the size, and then bring that down here and kind of maybe turn it a little bit just to give it a little bit of a little extra flair, and then mess around with the color. So in this case, I probably want it to stand out a little bit more, so I may bring in a black, and then under effects, I might change that so that it's got a little bit more of an intensity to it. To kind of bring the colors together. I actually think I like using Manny's color with that. And if you don't like that, you can completely swap it out for something else or create the text from scratch. I don't know how much I love that one. I think this one might be better. What do you think, guys?
I love it.
I think this one might actually stand out a little bit more.
Yeah, I definitely like that T that hovers over the I and the H.
So now what we're going to do is just kind of put it in place here. Maybe make the text just a hair smaller so it fits into that gap there a little bit better. And then obviously this is where I want to use Manny's color, just another thing to tie it in. So I'm going to go to effects. I'm going to make that blue. And I think that looks great like that. So the last thing that you want to do is you want to overemphasize the character that you place onto the thumbnail. So in this case, I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to do some adjustments to Manny's picture. I'm going to lower the contrast a little bit. So I'm going to raise the contrast up a little bit so that you get a little bit more detail. I'm going to lower the brightness just a hair so that the detail comes out. And then I'm going to increase the saturation so that it really overemphasizes what we're doing with our character so that he literally pops off. So that is our thumbnail from start to finish. And then the last thing you do, you simply give it a name. So we usually name ours with our episode numbers. You hit share, download, and you simply download it to your computer, and then you can upload it to YouTube. Now, I kind of want to show you guys the version that I created prior to this, and that was this one. So we've got keyword research, and then we have keyword search. That should say research, right?
Yes.
So now, because I made a mistake, we're going to ungroup, and that's fine. This is all part of the process. We just have to make everything a little bit bigger for the sake of fitting the words. Recenter. Boom.
Nice.
Now, what are your thoughts, guys? So now we're moving into the opinion phase, and for our viewers as well, we have this option that we used Adobe to remove the background, which it ended up removing your pointer finger, Manny. And then we have this version, which I actually used Canva's background removal tool for, which you need a pro account to use. So now what we need to do is kind of figure out which version, in our opinion, is going to work better. So
Are we going to end up in a tie again? And you're going to have to.
We might. We might very well end up in a tie. So, Manny, I'm going to go ahead and defer to you since you are the character being represented here. We have option A, which is this one, and then option B is this one.
First, so you got me here because I was like, okay, well maybe there was no hand there because it looks so natural now. And I'm like, I thought I saw a hand earlier, but okay, this is a way that she could bring the hand back, and then the hand never came back. And I was like, okay, then that must be it that we saw earlier when we were testing. And it looks so natural. Like I'm literally torn. Like I feel like obviously pointing to it adds a little more flair, but this right here looks so natural as the leader of the conversation.
Okay, so
The other one.
you're liking this one.
I am liking that one.
Okay.
I don't know. I like the width on the other one.
I do as well. So you know what we can do? We can copy it and we can paste it. And now I can delete that one and replace it with this. And then we would just have to resize it a hair like that.
I think they both look great, but if I had to pick one, I think I lean towards this one.
All right. And Kevin, now to you. We've got an A or a B.
Honestly, I prefer B because the character is more central to the framing. and definitely like the. I was going to say something about the width. Yeah, I do like the width on the first one, but just the touches that you made on Manny's face, just to make it pop out a little bit more. I do enjoy that as well. So definitely B for me. And can you believe we agreed?
I can't actually. um, that's great. And Robert's on with us, and Robert says it looks cool, and we
Nice.
appreciate that,
Thanks,
Robert.
Robert.
I'm can't figure out why the end of my comment has disappeared, but that's okay. Um, so it seems like we have a winner. So I'm going to go ahead and download that new version. Um, and then that's it. Now, the last thing that I do, and this is just the type A OCD in me, um, I save everything to specific folders. It just helps keep me organized and it helps me find my work. So I'm going to go and hit save to folder, and then it's going to be saved to our C3 folder.
And that is a feature in Canva where you can actually create folders in Canva for the different
Absolutely.
projects.
Canva is an amazing tool. And I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I think it's safe to say Canva is coming out with some pretty amazing new features. So expect a lot more of Canva, I believe, on this channel. But that brings me to the end of the demo. So now it is my absolute favorite part of the show, which is the connection phase. As people who are in 3 different locations, we love to share how we connect. And what I would love to do right now is talk to both Kevin and Manny about our experiences with clicking on thumbnails versus scrolling past videos based on those thumbnails. Also, maybe talk about your specific experiences with making your own thumbnails. And for this, I'm actually going to kick it right on over here to Manny first.
Great training, Dory. I've been using Canva for so long, and I love the way you really broke it down. I've even taught on Canva so much, and I was like, I think this is where that perfectionist comes in great, because you want things to be. I don't want to leave you hanging, and you definitely did not leave us hanging. Like, you explained it so well. This was free, amazing training. And you made it so simple. I didn't know that Adobe Express, you can go over there to remove the background. So that's awesome to know as well. And I thought you were going to bring the hand back on that. I'm like, okay, I got rid of the hand, because sometimes you see that. You're like, oh, you take away the background, and then, like, oh, man, it takes away more than you wanted to. I thought you were gonna bring that thing back. I was like, all right, let's see what. I'm like, how do you do that? But I could see the difference on that. So I'm glad you even went a little further and said, and showed it with Canva. That added so. I mean, you really great. So personal experience wise, I'm very particular about the thumbnail, and let me tell you, I'm not great at the thumbnail. I'm a big time work in progress. I try to keep it simple while popping. I'm not very graphic. I'm not very graphics oriented. So having a guide like Canva where they have all those templates really helped me a lot. This even helped more because you helped that creative side on how you're coming up with some of that. And you actually built a new one that we all got to see from scratch. So that was great there. And one of the things that I always do, and this is how important these thumbnails are, YouTube lets you know what the click through rate is, meaning that it was shown on someone's profile as an impression. It was scrolling by. Did they click on that thumbnail? My friends, this is why this training that Dory did today is so important. YouTube even has an analytics for that. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone back to look at the click through rate of my video and be like, okay, I definitely need to change this thumbnail. It's not working. And when it comes to a percent, number one, the higher the better, but it's hard to get it in the 10s and the 14s. So you're happy with 4% of people actually clicking on it. But over time, is it getting better? Is it growing? So to me, that is key where you get to, that's how important it is to YouTube. And so that's how I use it to try to be effective to get them to make that click. I got to grab their attention. I got to take them from where they're at and say, here, click on my video. And great job, Dory. So that's kind of my experience. Kevin, what about you when it comes to thumbnails?
Well, as with you, I'm still learning a lot about YouTube analytics and using thumbnails to try and grab people's attention. Like I had said before, I'm just packing as much information in there as possible. When those points that Dory made at the beginning, those are priceless. Those are amazing. So thank you for sharing those with us, Dory. Because that really puts into perspective what are people actually looking at. They're not wanting to read a bunch of text of what's going on. It's like, okay, the picture, your character, that's going to be what draws people in. So as you were going through this demo, I was thinking about, okay, I have to create a thumbnail tonight after tonight's show for my stream tomorrow. What am I going to do? And I came up with an idea because of the things that you had brought out about making everything pop and sort of come out of the screen. So I do thank you for that, because it's starting to get my mind going in a much different direction. And using a lot of those templates as well definitely will help my creative process in creating some hopefully um, engaging type thumbnails.
Yeah.
I definitely think that, it's we want to give everybody as much information as possible. And then in so doing, we might end up pushing people away because we're giving them too much information. So, that was something that I had to learn too, because maybe it's the school teacher in me, but I think in complete sentences. And you cannot think in complete sentences when it comes to thumbnails. So I just thought that was really interesting. And before we get to some of the comments, I actually just wanted to share with you two and our audience that I actually was able to create the thumbnail from start to finish in Adobe Express as well. So if this was something that people just wanted to use one tool, this is the version that I created strictly inside Adobe Express. So, you know, character still pops with an outline. We still have the main words very big on the screen. We've got the vidIQ logo, and then I did a little bit of a little cursive kind of width there, and then applied those same types of photo enhancements too to really make Manny's picture pop off the screen. So, I just wanted to share that just in case somebody only wants to use one tool. Adobe Express will get it done. So, um,
I think the biggest part of that is following those 7 steps that you put out there. I mean, whatever platform, whatever tool that you use to create the thumbnail, just follow those 7 steps that she gave you. It's in the comments, literally, no matter what. Those same things, that right there is universal.
absolutely, absolutely. And we have, sorry guys, my comments are literally all over the map, like legit. Uh, Marissa said that she found the background tool this week, so that is awesome. Um, and as we said in Canva, the background removal is a pro feature that is not available in the free version. But there are so many tools out there, and is exactly what Manny just alluded to. It's not about the tool you use; it's just about following a method. Let's see what else. Grouping elements. Chef's kiss. I love that. I absolutely love that. Um, yes, being able to group things together just for the purposes of working with them, moving them, resizing them, it's amazing. What else do we have here? And again, Robert joined, said very cool and nifty specs regarding our thing. So I think that we have hit all of the comments and questions that people have, at least as far as I can see. Do you guys see any others that I may have missed? I don't
I think you
see
caught
any.
them all.
All right. And with that being said, dun, 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 dun.
My friends, if you enjoyed this type of content just like this and you're finding it useful, we would love it if you'd like and subscribe. Sharing our content is also a great way to spread the love. Visit our website, as you can see it right there on your screen, for all the information on all the ways you can connect with us at linktree/content creators connect. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
And also, drop down in the comments what you would like us to go into a little deeper, or an overall topic that you want to see discussed. Doing a demo in Canva, that was great to see all the tools that are types of tools that are available within that one tool. So if you are interested, drop a comment and we will investigate and provide you with some knowledge with these wonderful brains that we have that can combine to give you a great show.
And with that, we want to say thank you for joining Content Creators Connect, aka C3, as we discussed building a thumbnail from scratch using those free, amazing tools. We return next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where Manny, this guy right down here, will be discussing how to use keyword searches to boost your video views. We will be multicasting live to YouTube, Facebook, and now Twitter. So be sure to join us. Until then, we urge you to identify and lean into your 3Cs. Start today creating unique content that builds connections and breaks down those barriers. See you next week.
Bye.